Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing? The other day, I was pretty surprised to read a news article. I saw it pop up that the UK is looking to ban smoking for people born after the year 2009. Pretty interesting. Okay. I know there's more. Well, I looked up the stats. There's about 13% of adults in the UK smoke. Here in America, it's about 10%, 11%, something like that. But compared to other European countries, the UK actually doesn't smoke very much. It's definitely an interesting thing. I kind of have a lot of thoughts about it, to be honest. I could see both sides of the argument. On one hand, it's like, oh, of course, all the, the baby boomers who grew up smoking and doing all this stuff, now that they don't do it anymore, they're like, hey, all that stuff, we're banning that. You're not going to be smoking. It just reminds me of over here in America in the 1960s and stuff, everybody used to smoke marijuana. Then once they grew up, they stopped smoking marijuana. They're all like, you know what? All you younger kids, you're not doing that anymore. Okay. War on drugs. But smoking is a little bit different than marijuana, of course. Smoking has nicotine, or tobacco smoking has nicotine, which is addictive. So it does make it a little bit more of an interesting question. But then again, there's lots of things that are unhealthy that, do you want the government banning alcohol? That's not technically chemically addictive, but of course there are plenty of alcoholics. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'm curious what these people had to say. To be honest, I'm more curious about the comments, though. After this video, I'm going to read the comments. But let me just get the general story straight. I'm going to watch this video by this morning.
Alan, let's start with the smoking ban, of course, because the vote happened. There's a plan to ban anybody born after 2009 from buying cigarettes, and Rishi Sunak got it through.
Got it through, despite some of his own MPs. I mean, there was nearly 50% of Conservative MPs either abstained or voted against. Almost 50%.
Yeah.
163 either abstained or voted against. But it was the right thing to do. And it's the timing that's important. I was Health Secretary when we introduced the smoking ban in clubs and pubs and all of that.
Yep.
And we were expecting
we're
expecting a tougher ride than we had. But the point is, the public supported it because it was the right timing. They'd been educated over the years to see the harm that tobacco was doing. They wanted the government to do something in public health. And
I mean, the way that they're doing it does make a lot of sense to me. It makes sense that you ban it for people who aren't addicted to it yet. People who are already addicted, it's kind of like taking that away from them. Well, it might cause some riots. I don't know. Some smokers I know. If you took away their cigarettes, that's not a good idea.
so it worked, and I think this will work as well. I think this is the right timing.
Vanessa, as Alan was saying, there was some resistance from some prominent Tory MPs.
Absolutely.
Liz Truss has said it is emblemic of the technocratic establishment in this country that wants to limit people's freedom, and another example of our country's health police.
Well, it's a very difficult one, this one, because to say I'm not going to vote in favour of banning something that makes people desperately ill, causes the NHS a whole lot of problems and costs us all a lot of money, can damage unborn babies in the womb. I mean, it's very serious. So to vote against banning it is a big deal. On the other hand, what people think that they're voting against.
You could, of course. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I honestly don't know how I feel about it. It's interesting. But I was going to say, you could, of course, relate anything she just said to alcohol.
Is the banning of adults in
It hurts babies in the wombs. It costs the NHS a lot of money.
this country making free choices. Right. So, if you want to have a bar of chocolate, you should probably choose a stick of celery. But if you're over a certain age and it's your money and you came by it honestly and you decide to have 3 bars of chocolate, it's up to you. Do you want the government giving you a weekly sugar ration and saying, you can have half a flake every fortnight, that's all, because of your teeth and your health? Of course you don't. Same with alcohol. Do you want the government saying you can have this tiny cherry brandy once a fortnight and no more when you're a grown-up? You don't. So it's all about personal liberty as an adult, and part of our liberty has been choosing to smoke. But it's so complicated because, of course, as soon as you become addicted, there's no choice involved at all.
Yeah.
No. So the idea that voting against a smoke...
Yes. I'm thinking of the people who I know that smoke. You know, a lot of them do regret ever smoking. I feel like that's a pretty common outcome is, you know, you get to be older, you're addicted, you started smoking at a young age, and, well, you wish you never had. So that's something definitely to be said.
Smoking ban is voting for liberty and the right to choose to be whatever you want to be as an adult. You know, a drunk, a degenerate, fat, toothless.
There's no need to be personal about it.
It's up to you. So it's a very difficult one, but I would find it very hard to vote against a smoking ban.
There's also technical issues here, because it is true that there'll come a time when a 25-year-old lighting up a fag can do it legally, and a 24-year-old won't be able to do it legally. And
One day difference.
How do you
in their
enforce that?
birthdays.
And we thought that New Zealand
I
would...
do have to get used to you guys calling it cigarettes, that other word, because it's interesting. You know, as an American, that is interesting.
Was going to be in the vanguard of this, because they'd suggested the policy,
already,
and then they've withdrawn it. So it's England now that's in the lead on this, with no other countries that we can use to see how it will progress down.
And we do have a time-honoured tradition of your older brother buying you a packet of fags, don't we? I mean, you don't have to be a certain age to get older.
It's changed, though, now, hasn't it? Don't you feel like kids now aren't smoking as much as they used to?
It's a minority pursuit now, which is why, you know, if you tried this 20, 30 years ago, I mean, I remember, you know, when you got on the tube in London, there were only 2 carriages for non-smokers.
Yeah.
One near the front and one near the back.
Also on
Everyone
a
else
plane,
is on the
on an
plane.
aeroplane. There were
that's
smoking
so
seats on a
true.
plane. And also everyone's dad, and quite a lot of people's mums, used to light up in the car with all the windows closed and the kids in the back of the car. No one you know, seemed to bat an eyelid at it. Not at all. But now my kids say that when they see people smoking, they feel as if they didn't get the memo. So it doesn't look cool. It looks like they just didn't realise it was going to really hurt them, so they shouldn't be doing it.
Vaping's the next thing, isn't it?
It's kind of interesting. I didn't realize how the UK views smoking more similar to America than like other European countries. You know what I mean? Because over here in America, smoking has definitely lost a lot of its cool, mysterious vibe. I don't even have anything against. I don't really care. That's kind of my opinion. Like, I don't care if you smoke or not. It's your life if you want to. But, you know, definitely used to be like a symbol of being cool, and not so much anymore.
We still don't know long-term what the impact of vaping is, but as you were saying, is the younger generation aren't necessarily smoking.
Vaping.
But they are.
That always... I don't even know if I want to get into vaping, because I know a lot of people conflate, you know, the health damages of smoking. They say, oh, well, you know, it must be similar. Vaping must be similar. But actually, a lot of studies out of the UK have shown it's really not similar. It's really not. It's definitely addictive, but it's not similar in terms of health risks. And at this point, it's been around for like 15 years. And it's pretty clear it's not similar. Whatever. You know, I'm no doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to talk about, you know, vaping, and maybe it's really bad for you. I don't know.
Smoking and vaping.
Maybe we'll never know.
Vaping bill. I'm not sure what they're going to do on vaping.
But you guys don't vape over there nearly as much as people do over here in America.
We do know that vaping's helped a lot of people stop smoking.
Of course.
Yeah.
And for all the reasons Vanessa said, you know...
That's the main thing I'm a little bit passionate about it, is because it really is. It's pretty apparent if you read the studies, like I said, coming out of Britain, is something that even someone who's smoked for decades can switch to vaping, because it gives you a very similar, the whole experience is very similar.
We know now that the result of smoking, there's no question about it. The science is very clear.
Well, it kills 80,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Costs the NHS and the economy an estimated £17 billion annually.
But we also know that they're allowed to target vapes at very young people, so they've got sweet little flavours, peach blossom, chewing gum, bubble gum, pretty colours, you know, they look attractive in the way that...
That is a little bit of a strange thing about it, and it's definitely not good how the disposable ones that, you know, it's a lot of waste.
They haven't been allowed to advertise cigarettes for years and years now. Decades they haven't been able to do that. So, you know, next step.
Next step. All right. I want to see the comments. Because I really, to be honest, I don't care so much about what random talk show host pundits have to say. No offense to those people on this topic. I care about who it's affecting, the people. So let me read what the people have to say. I am anti-smoking, but people have the right to smoke if they want. All they have to do is ban it in public so we know smokers, non-smokers don't suffer. The government makes millions from smoking. The government makes millions from taxing it? Yeah, but like they said, it also costs NHS billions. So, I don't know. I don't know the numbers, but that's already interesting. This guy definitely has a different point of view. It will never work. All it would do is create a black market for tobacco. Yes, I mean, we have played out similar types of bans before, you know what I mean? This isn't the first time a government has tried to ban. You know, well, there was the whole war on drugs. And then before that, there was prohibition over here in America. You couldn't buy alcohol. That didn't work. Allow adults to make their own choices. Novel concept. If you want to take away the burden from the health systems and taxpayers, then exempt smokers, drinkers from certain treatments. Ooh. If it's deemed their illness has come from smoking or drinking. Damn. That, to be honest, I can't agree with. This is such a complicated issue. It really does get at a lot of really, really genuinely difficult questions. I mean, what if a kid does you know, races bicycles as his hobby? Obviously, he's at a greater risk of breaking an arm, falling off his bicycle. So should he be exempt from getting his broken arm fixed? Should you not have to pay for that? And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Should you be exempt, you know, if you step outside? Should you... Only way you get full coverage is if you live inside of a plastic bubble. So I can't help but say that's a little bit odd. Little bit odd. Walking around the streets of London, I'm sick to death of having to constantly breathe in someone else's cigarettes and vape smoke. Well, it's not vape smoke, but vape. I see what they're saying. And it's getting worse. I have to cross over to the other side of the street to avoid the harmful chemicals. I can't emphasize enough that exposure to even secondhand smoke is extremely damaging to your heart, and it should be banned. Okay. I think secondhand smoke is way more relevant when you're living inside, particularly if you're living with a smoker and the smoker is smoking inside. It's an issue, but it's not as serious as the issues going on at the minute. Now, there is another interesting point. You know, is this... well, it's an interesting point. There's a lot of very, very serious issues going on in the world. Is this one? Maybe. I mean, there are a lot of people dying from lung cancer. So it certainly is an issue. I'm all for freedom and liberty myself. I used to smoke for a long time. One reason I think the ban makes sense, though, is because it does affect other people, particularly the NHS. Your choices affect the pressure on that. Like I said, it's a very interesting thing, you know what I mean? It's a very interesting thing. Should you ban chocolate cake? Obviously, that has negatives. You know, if someone's eating chocolate cake all day, they're probably going to cost the NHS more money. I'm just saying. I'm not even saying one way or the other, honestly. I'm just thinking it through. It's a very difficult problem. Don't care for the selfish haters. I'm 100% for the ban. You couldn't pay me to change my mind. Okay. I'd have a complete ban on cigs and vapes. That's ridiculous. Smoking ban is laughable. Ha ha ha. Oh my God. YouTube comments are something else, aren't they? Internet comments in general are something to really be studied. The ban is needed, and we need police to stop people smoking in public spaces. That is, you know, that is an interesting point. It's one thing to smoke in the privacy of like your car or your backyard or something, but when you are in a public space, it does introduce, even though like I previously alluded to, secondhand smoke outdoors is probably not going to affect your health, but it still is there. It's still, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care if people choose to smoke in their own home, just as long as I don't have to breathe it. Yeah, that's going to work out. Not as if I couldn't have any drug delivered to my door within 20 minutes. I don't smoke cigarettes now. I switched to something called a plume. They use sticks of pure tobacco, none of the nasty chemicals. Okay. Interesting, interesting. You know, I will amend what I said about vapes as to say, any sketchy ones, you know, you definitely would need to know what's inside the vape. Don't get me wrong about that. There are some sketchy ones that, you know, some like knockoff ones that probably will kill you. So it's not all roses. And they're highly addictive. Don't vape. Don't smoke. The commerce in it, LOL, can never tell who has vested interest in these companies rather than their own opinion. There should be a ban on children buying vapes, ? Surely children can't buy vapes, can they? Ban alcohol next. Such a destructive drug. Oh, there we go. Now we've got an interesting little discussion going on here. Yes. I actually can't tell if this guy is being sarcastic or not. If I want to drink one glass of wine or the bottle, it's my choice. I work for that. What I buy and know the risks, it's my human right. What a ridiculous statement. In my opinion, smoking and drinking alcohol should be banned altogether, but the economy would probably collapse. Oh man, what a contentious issue. I feel like just uploading this, I feel like some things I've said are gonna, you know, make people mad, but I feel like this is one of the topics where everybody has their own opinion and it's all different. So it's impossible to not make, you know, somebody mad about your opinion on this type of thing. But obviously I don't live in the UK, so it's like if you guys do whatever you want. I think it should be a referendum. I think you guys should vote on it yourselves. Yeah, but I do think it's very interesting. I do think so. Does it apply to pipe tobacco as well? It must. Obviously, a cigar and a pipe tobacco, since you're not inhaling it, they're not nearly as damaging. And I feel like there's a little bit more of a rich culture behind like pipe tobacco and cigars. So it's a little bit sad to ban that. Cigarettes, I don't feel that same way. Like it's like whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Have I really been talking about this for 20 minutes? Well, probably 0 people are still watching, so I love you if you're still watching. And I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.